What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Hedera today, HBAR. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are at about 18.65 cents. I do want to go over the long-term stuff real quick. I want to talk about some long-term expectations, and then we'll finish this up with some short-term expectations. I do think that we're about to go a little bit lower, just a little bit. Nothing to be concerned about, but this is the all-time history, at least that I have for HBAR here. If we look at the last cycle's high, which was in September of 2021, you grew overall from a low, come on now, a low to a high of about, you saw a 58x move, okay, from the low to a high. That same kind of growth here, and it's very uncommon for cryptos. I shouldn't say it's very uncommon, it's just not the likelihood that you would see the same amount of growth cycle after cycle. So that would mean that if you were to get just to $2, that would be the same growth that you saw last cycle. The reason why it's harder to grow at an increased rate cycle after cycle is that you have higher market caps, right? People are more aware of it. It's oftentimes when people aren't aware, people are thinking it's a risky bet. They don't know if it's going to do well. That's whenever you see the most growth. And then also, of course, lower market caps too are easier to grow. But what we did not have last cycle that we do have this cycle is we've got a lot of interest in this thing being implemented. Even on like a government level, on an institutional level. Like there's a lot more interest in this thing. It's actually becoming a reality. This thing is geared up to achieve what it is set out to achieve, right? And that's pretty good. And that's whenever you see the dreams, the goals of any kind of crypto project being realized, or at least looking to be realized, that can really add some momentum. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. I know that it might sound confusing because it might sound like I was talking about this seeing a lesser cycle than last cycle, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if by the end of the cycle we saw something that was dramatically higher than last cycle. I think that we could overall, from a low to a high, see something that inevitably turns into a multi-100x. Maybe at the highest I would see something of about a 580x overall. But again, these kind of cycles, they only happen once you get recognition. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go to Dogecoin here, right? Dogecoin, just a joke coin, right? Just a silly joke coin. It's a silly meme coin. I know it's not comparable to HBAR in all fairness, but this situation might be, right? Its very first bull cycle, from a low to a high, it grew, it did a 21,000% growth. That's a lot. That's immaculate. That's really hard to outperform. I don't think anybody would have had this in its bingo card that it outperformed the next cycle. But what happened? What happened on the next cycle? Dogecoin got recognition. It got recognition from one of the wealthiest, smartest, most famous and infamous people in the world, Elon Musk, and that recognition is what drove the price, right? Now that recognition is already there. There's nothing really new being implemented. It's very unlikely that we see the same growth or even this growth from a low to a high this cycle, right? But when you get recognition, it doesn't matter what cycle you're in. You probably do see a phenomenal rally, right? A very phenomenal rally. Bitcoin, unfortunately, it's only receiving recognition now at its market cap where it's over $1 trillion. So that rule might be an exception for anything that's over $1 trillion in market cap. But there's a lot of people that have given it recognition since like 2017 as well. It's just I feel like the world is coming more online with this thought that that Bitcoin is real. Hold on. And then it's not going away. The same thing, the same kind of concept is happening now for HBAR, but you're at a dramatically lower market cap. I could very well see that this thing sees new all-time highs, right? And not just new all-time highs, but more growth than what we saw last cycle. If we're looking at this here, it's very common, beyond everything that I've said, it's very, very common. Prove me wrong, go through and look yourself, that the average crypto from cycle after cycle, if they are to see new all-time highs, not if they see a double top or a slightly higher high, but if they actually like break through and see new all-time highs and expansion, if they do, it's very common for them to stop between their 1618 or their 2272. Likely one or the other, but sometimes in between at the 1886. Okay, from this low here to the 1618, that already promotes more growth than the last cycle, right? At $3. But I don't think Hedera stops at $3 by the end of the cycle. I think that you would at least go to $6.62, $9. And personally, I really do like this $20 area as a cycle possibility here. Doesn't mean that you have to stop there. You don't have to. Nothing has to happen. You could stop anywhere in between these lines. You don't have to stop right at them, but they're just generalities, just ideas here. If we line up these ideas with some other stuff, we've got the money zone, these orange lines coming in with this orange line. You've got the 3618 coming in at this area. And there's really not too much suggesting that you go to 20, but higher than that. So I don't know if this fib will help us, or maybe it is helping us and telling us that we should curb our expectations to something down here. But I don't think that's going to happen. The reason why I don't think that we would stop here is because if we consider what HBAR is about to do. It's about to break out to new all-time highs with the same bullish momentum that it's carried out with this last movement up, right? It has outperformed most coins this cycle already. This last move, it outperformed most coins by how much? Let's see, the average move was like 140%. You saw a move that was 838%. A coin like this, consolidating like this, right at the golden ratio too, I have a really hard time seeing it do anything less than something that's of a similar magnitude to what you saw before, right? From this low or from the current price, that would probably take you to, again, just below $2. That makes a lot of sense to me. If this is a bull flag, and I think it might be, if it's not a bull flag, whatever, I'm still considering that it'll perform very similar to a bull flag. That would take you at least to like $1.62, if not maybe upwards toward $2. I don't think you break $2 on this next move. We had hopes for that beforehand, but I think that because you've moved down, because you've consolidated so much, that same move, I don't expect it to get bigger. I expect it to stay relatively the same, and even if it does get bigger, getting above $2, I think will be a little bit of a challenge. That doesn't mean that it can't happen, but getting back to the point, if you stop somewhere around the 1.414, if this is your next move by the end of May, we have a whole cycle to go. I have a hard time seeing this as your cycle high, right? That's not what I say. I mean, last cycle, good example, your cycle finale was like this, right? If you double top, if you see something like this, okay, right? If you're not moving up at a fast pace, okay, maybe then you do stop at $3. I don't know, but I have a hard time seeing that for HBAR. I think that you would at least go to $6.60, $9, something like that. You're at 18.6 cents now, if not all the way up to the 2272. And again, I invite anybody to measure on the fibs, right? Same way that I have it. You got it on log. You double click your fibs here, scroll down, make sure that fibs are based on log scale so that it's at the right kind of measurements. From a high to a low, you'll be hard pressed to find coins that grow to higher highs that have existed for more than one cycle. They've had 2 cycles that stop anywhere lower than the 1618. It's not impossible. There's plenty of coins that do stop at their 1414, and there's plenty of coins that like they break just above, but they stop below, right? Something like that. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about a breakout move. You'll be hard pressed to find anything that stops less than the 1618, and most of them do go to their 1886s or 2272s cycle after cycle. To be completely fair, but that's speculative. We'll see how it goes. I really think that by the end of this next move, we'll have a better understanding of where we're going to go by the end of the cycle. Because if by the end of this next move you're only here at 57 cents, well, maybe it is time to start considering $3.15 as a possibility. If you are higher than this target, if you're all the way up at like $6 by the end of this next move, which I don't see happening, maybe we should start considering $50 or prices above $20. But again, time will tell. It's probably more appropriate to talk about those kind of things whenever we're at the highs or at the end of this next move, which I think is fast approaching. I do think it's fast approaching. If we look at this on a daily time frame, actually I want to start on the 15-minute time frame and build it out from there. 15-minute RSI, it's not looking the best. It's not looking the best. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we went lower, right? This is not what support looks like. This is what support looks like, right? That's what something build. That is support right there. When you see stuff like this, you tend to go lower, right? And that's kind of the direction that it seems to be. I would not be surprised at all if we did go lower from a low to a high here. Yes, the expectation would be you're at 18.6 cents now. 18.34 cents could be where you go, if not maybe as low as 18 cents itself. So I'm not expecting anything too crazy to happen. I want to put some lines here and see what happens. And this probably does happen today. Somewhat of an area of support. Hey, right there, that area of support back there. If we keep going back it way up. Support here. A little bit deeper support there, and you could go below that. Of course you could. Support right in there. Yeah. So throughout this whole range that we've been consolidating, and you continue to find support in this area, it wouldn't surprise me if you continue that path. Let's look at this on a daily time frame real quick. And resistance back here, and resistance in this area too. Of course, anything can happen. Of course, this does not have to be the low. You could go lower, but I don't know. I'm expecting something more or less in this 18 cent to 18.35 cent area to happen in a short amount of time, right? We're getting that from the 15-minute time frame. That would imply that maybe by the end of today or even sometime tomorrow we would see this happen. Looking at the 1 hour time frame, the 1 hour RSI also looks pretty volatile. It's not terrible, but it is, you go overbought, mess around with the 50, get oversold, mess around with the 50, get overbought, mess around with the 50, you're oversold now. I mean, maybe you do move up from here. The last couple times, right, you've gone from oversold to overbought, overbought to oversold, oversold to overbought, overbought to oversold. Maybe you just keep ping-ponging like this. Maybe. The 15-minute makes me think you go lower. The 1 hour has me a little bit perplexed, I suppose. I don't think that you bounce from here. I would think that if you were to bounce from here, you would have already, right? Like this is the bounce, this was the bounce. I don't think, and that was the last 2 times that you were oversold. That's what it looked like. I don't think that you're going to bounce from here. I think that you do go lower, and that next lower target again is somewhere between 18.3 to 18 cents itself. I like that 18 cents target personally. And maybe 17.5 cents could be a possibility to consider as well, looking at the 1 hour time frame. 4 hour RSI definitely looking like it wants to go down, right? Rejecting the 50, getting oversold, rejecting the 50, and now you're back below the 40. Not a good look. You kind of look like you're rounding this bottom out. You look like you're rounding it a little bit. It's not a straight line, right? It's like rounded. If I can connect, I can't draw, man. I need a proper mouse. So yeah, something lower. Something lower wouldn't surprise me at all. And actually, the more that I'm looking at this, in the short term, it would make sense to find support in here. And maybe you do, but the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking you actually do break below these levels, actually. Because you've already found support here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, debatably. Likely, I mean, after 3 times, you don't really see these kind of areas hold. So you probably do go a little bit lower. Okay. Let's see. Low to high here. Perhaps the expectation should be overall that you drop to 17 to 16 cents. What would that be? From a high to a low. That's at about 8.5 cents to about 14 cents, or 8.5% to a 14% drop. That could happen. If HBAR drops that much, I can only imagine what the rest of the markets are going to do. They'll probably drop more than that. But I guess it's what I'm calling for. Unless you don't go lower. Unless you don't go lower, if you can close back above 19.22 cents on a 4 hour basis or a daily basis, if you can do that, then I'm wrong. Then I'm just wrong, simply put, and we're not going lower. We don't need to go below this low, but I would think 1, 2, 3 times at least, debatably 4 times, debatably 5 times. I would think that it's basically inevitable at this point that we do go lower than this. But I don't know, man. I don't know. There's always a chance. If you hold this area here, if you don't get below 18.3 cents, I would say there is a chance that you don't have to go down to 17 to 16 cents. So if that holds, if 18.3 cents holds, and you get back above 20 cents on a 4 hour closing basis or higher, then I'm wrong. You're not going lower. You're not going to 17 to 16 cents. You are going up instead. And this could have been the low to build from that inevitably breaks you out of this downward sloping trend here. Okay, to validate that you are at your low, to validate that, you would want to see, let's see, from a high to a low here. You would want to see prices basically just close above this daily close. Get above 26.5 cents. If you can do that on a daily time frame, not anything less. You need to close above there on a daily time frame, not wick. I need you to close above 26.5 cents. If you can do that, then lower targets are off the table. It's time to start looking for the sky, you guys. But that's all I got for you. If you like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. All right. And the camera froze. All right. Bye-bye.